Make some noise for the very funny Sid to Move.
So I've been doing comedy for a little over a year now, and everyone I've met is really nice. They're super encouraging. They say, Sid, you keep writing new material, keep getting stage time, keep on. One day you're gonna be famous. They say one day you're gonna make it big. You're gonna make tens and maybe another $10. So I know I'm here tonight living the dream. So like you said, I'm 17. I'm a senior in high school. I recently started getting invited to parties, and of course, the highlights of these parties is drinking. Drinking lots and lots of, let's call it apple juice. Hi, Mom. My lovely mother's here to support me tonight. I also recently got my license, and I drive an older car, and I'm grateful for that because some newer cars today have this new driver technology where it'll track how fast you go, where you go, what time you drive, so your parents can keep track of what you're doing. And I'm happy I don't have that in my car because I do not need my parents knowing about the 2 deer and 1 old woman I may or may not have run over. But it's okay because I always make sure to take a healthy dose of apple juice every time before I touch the steering wheel. Hi, Mom. Recently, my mom and I, we were down in Texas visiting family. On the way back in the airport, I got randomly selected for TSA pre-check with just the minimal security line. So, being the gentleman I am, I take the largest piece of luggage and waltz through. I'm waiting for my mom on the other side. About 15 minutes later, she finally comes through and she is pissed off. Apparently, she was randomly selected for extra checking and she is not happy. She comes up to me, she says, Sid, if either one of us is a terrorist, it's definitely you. always nice to hear from your mom. But apparently, she's not the only one that thinks this. I was recently in Chicago flying back to New Jersey. I was traveling with my dad and sister. The flight was completely full, so my dad and sister were sitting together in the front. I was in the back next to an older white couple. So the flight was already delayed 2 or 3 hours. We get on the flight, ready to take off, and then the pilot announces another hour delay. So at this point, everyone is absolutely furious. And out of nowhere, the husband, the guy next to me, leans over, taps my shoulder, and says, you should go up to the pilot and say, we take off now or else. I bet they'll drag you off the plane. And naturally, my reaction was, God damn, man, relax. I'm not supposed to do anything until the plane is in the air. The best part of it, though, was definitely the wife's reaction. As soon as the words came out of her husband's mouth, she knew he had fucked up. She, pulled him in close, she apologized for him, and they did not try and talk to me for the rest of the flight. But, my friend, he has a theory about why I'm getting, having so much trouble in airports. He thinks it's because I give off radicalized vibes. I asked him, what does that mean? I was born and raised in the US, I consider myself an American. He says, that's exactly it. Airport security is suspicious of any brown person that behaves like a Westerner. So what you gotta do is just act like a terrorist and they won't bother you. And, I've been thinking about this and it's starting to make sense. So the next time I'm in an airport, my game plan is to wear a turban and call every white person I see an infidel. I'll be sure to let you know how that goes. This past summer, my family we visited Provincetown, really interesting place, lots of diverse people. We were out one night for dinner, walking back to our car, and we passed a group of college girls. And I think they were reading what was basically a bucket list. They say, next up we have to slap a guy in the ass. And they come up to me in front of my entire family and pretend to slap me in the ass. So my dad is basically a deer in headlights. He does not know what to do. My 8-year-old sister is on my mom's phone. She could not care less what's going on. And my mom is getting ready to go into battle mode. But I was getting hyped up. I was like, check me out. I'm going to get some action tonight. But unfortunately for me, my mom shut that down real quick. But I was away for a little bit this summer. I was at a camp, came back, and I came home to find that my parents had become addicted to Hallmark movies on the Hallmark Channel. So now, for those of you that don't know, the Hallmark Channel is basically full of extremely sappy love stories. And the actors are white. Now, when I say white, I mean extremely white, whiter than this gentleman right here. Fun of being in the front row. But just to give you a rundown of the plotline, in case you're not familiar, 2 people meet in this bustle and hustle of everyday life, and at this point, they're gonna fuck. But then, it's true. But then something happens to challenge their vision of true love, and at this point my parents are bawling their eyes out. They're more emotionally invested in this movie than they are their own son. But fear not for all the romantics in the crowd, because at the end of the day, they live happily ever after, and their true love can exist. So, towards the end of the summer, there was this new movie came out, an Indian movie that they were showing in American theaters. And my parents said, that they insisted the entire family go to see it because they said it was based on kind of the ideas of this Hallmark movie, with the kind of same love story plotline. So we go to a 10:30 p.m. showing, and the theater's packed. Old people, young people, it was crazy. So the movie starts, the main character walks on screen, no dialogue, nothing, music just plays. And at this point, people are going crazy, yelling, getting up, shouting, throwing confetti in the air. It was as if the British had just given us our independence. It was something else. Wait, that one took some thinking. So, at this point, my dad leans over to me. He says, "Son, this is what a real man looks like. This is what you should aspire to be one day." Luckily, at this point, I found a can of apple juice near me, and let me tell you, it made the movie that much more manageable. But with doing this whole stand-up comedy thing, I think I'm starting to, kind of realize and start to become what a real man might look like. But unfortunately, my dad can't be here to see me tonight because he's at home watching a Hallmark movie. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great time.